Meet John. He's witty, he is eloquent, and can start a conversation with anyone, anywhere, at any time. People call him confident. Now meet James. He's quiet, introverted, and rarely initiates a conversation, even though he often wants to. People call him shy. Today, we're looking at these two very different personalities to answer a deeper question. Is confidence something you're born with, or something you can learn? To understand John and James better, we have to look beyond how they act today. We need to explore where they come from, their upbringing, their environment, and the messages they've received about themselves. Because confidence doesn't just appear. It's shaped by what we're taught, what we experience, and what we believe. Let's start with John. He likely grew up in a home where his feelings were noticed and responded to, not just with love, but with attention that made him feel seen. When he spoke, someone listened. When he expressed himself, he was encouraged. He was allowed to be curious, ask questions, and even be silly without being criticized. In fact, these traits were celebrated, not just tolerated. Over time, that sense of safety became his baseline. John isn't faking confidence. He genuinely believes it's okay to talk to people. To him, people are fun, not scary. Other extroverted people were raised by parents who were playful, relaxed, and full of humor. A parent who jokes, teases, and engages in light-hearted conversations teaches their child that social interaction is safe, not something to fear. This gives the child permission to believe, I'm allowed to be myself, even if I'm loud or bold. To recap, confidence isn't just about being loved. It's about feeling safe enough to be yourself. That's where real confidence begins. Now let's take a look at James. From the outside, James seems distant. Quiet, absorbed in his own thoughts. When he speaks, his words carry insecurity and humility. You might often hear him saying things like, I don't know, this is too much, just a little. He avoids eye contact and lowers his posture, as if his body is saying, I'm not a threat, please don't hurt me. When someone approaches him, James often responds in a quiet, trembling voice, or says just a few words. It's his way of signaling, please don't expect too much. This doesn't mean James is indifferent or snobbish. In fact, he might be craving connection, even desperately. But every time an opportunity comes up, the fear of rejection speaks louder than his desire to connect. To understand why James holds back, we need to look at his early environment as well, especially the people closest to him. James may have grown up in a home where emotions weren't always welcomed. Maybe his parents were busy, stressed, or emotionally distant. Not even too strict, just unavailable in the moments that mattered. When James felt overwhelmed, he might have been ignored or told to stop crying. When he was excited, he may have been met with silence or even suspicion. When he was playful, he might have been shut down. And when he was optimistic, perhaps he was warned not to look too high. Over time, James learned that expressing himself wasn't safe. So he started shrinking, staying quiet, and keeping his feelings inside. Over time, James's experiences taught him something. Silence and self-restraint are the safest policies, because being visible felt risky. He learned to scan the room before speaking, to measure his words, to hold back his desires, his curiosity, even his joy. Because somewhere along the way, he got the message. If I'm too much, I might get hurt. If I try to stand out of the crowd, I might get rejected by my family. And so, James became careful. Careful with his words. Careful with his emotions. Careful not to take up too much space. Even now, as an adult, that caution lingers. He might hesitate before speaking in meetings. He might downplay his ideas, even when they're brilliant. He might feel exhausted after social interactions because he's constantly managing risk. This isn't weakness. It's a survival strategy. one that once kept him safe, but now keeps him stuck. James isn't less than John. They were just dealt different cards. John was taught how to be confident. James was taught how to survive. But survival isn't the end of the story. Because what was learned can be unlearned. Confidence isn't a personality trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be nurtured, practiced, and reclaimed. James doesn't need to become John. He just needs to feel safe enough to express himself with ease. So, what can James do now? First and mostly, James needs to gain understanding of what's holding him back. Not with judgment. Not with grief, just with gentle curiosity. He can begin to notice the patterns. The moments he shrinks. The words of scarcity that dominate his vocabulary. The situations that make his chest tighten. And instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" he can ask, "Where did I learn this?" Because every hesitation has a history, and every history can be rewritten. And once James begins to understand his patterns, he can start to challenge them, slowly, kindly, and with patience. He can practice using new words. Instead of "I don't know," he can say, "Let me think about it." Instead of "a little," he can say, "Here is what I really want." Instead of "This is too much," he can say, "I can handle it." Each phrase becomes a stepping stone, from self-doubt to self-trust, from shrinking to showing up. He can also begin to practice micro-expansions, like lifting his chin slightly when walking, making brief eye contact, smiling at people he perceives as safe, or even taking small emotional risks, saying hello and talking to someone, even if it's just for 10 seconds. And when that old, familiar negative voice in his head comes back, he can gently respond, "I'm safe now." Because healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means giving yourself permission to live beyond it. This is an interesting topic because, truthfully, we all have a bit of James in us. If this spoke to you, and you'd like me to make a follow-up video, drop a comment below. I'd love to dive even deeper and explore more solutions together. Till then, remember, you don't have to prove your worth to anyone to earn love. You don't need to force or fake confidence either. You just need to become you. Gently, fully, and unapologetically.